Alrighty, in practice assignment 2, we're going to use some voiceover and just get used to recording our own voice. And then we're going to use some compression and EQ to try to make it sound better. Use a couple other little tricks as well. So let's use Audacity here. And I'm actually just using the microphone on a pair of iPod headphones just to show that you can actually make them sound passable, but they still aren't nearly as good as a good mic like the Zoom mics that we have up in ATC. So I'm going to give it a little silence there, so when I do my noise removal I have a little piece to do the profile, but I'm going to take this and make it sound hopefully much better. So there's my little audio, and first thing I'm going to do is do a Command D because Audacity does destructive editing and I want to do some destructive editing here. So let's see, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to normalize this, and then I'm going to add a compressor. And in general it's better to compress things first and then EQ later. Unless there's a really egregious problem, it's usually better to do a little EQ first to take out the problem, then compress it, then EQ to fit in the mix. So let's see. I'm just going to set my threshold around -18 dB. It's going to do a lot of work on most of the signal here. And my ratio for voiceover stuff, I'm going to do 3 to 1. 4 to 1 starts to get pretty noticeable. I want this to be relatively subtle. And I'm actually going to turn off my makeup gain because I don't want to overload the signal when I add some EQ in here. So let's process that. Ooh, and notice how it took down a lot of these peaks here. So we can always normalize it again at the end. Let's see how that changed it. Give it a little silence there, so when I do my noise removal I have a little piece to do the profile. So one thing you might notice is the background noise has gotten pretty loud relative to the voiceover. So this is actually where I'm going to use the noise removal tool like we did in assignment number 1. So I have a big old fat piece of silence here to get my noise profile. So remember, it's a two-step process. We go to noise profile, get profile, and then double click your whole track, go back into effect, noise removal, and then this is somewhere around the default settings here, and I'm just going to process that. And let's listen here in the beginning. Yep, pretty quiet. Give it a little silence there, so when I do my noise removal I have a... Okay, and then I'm actually going to compare this to the export from assignment 1. So for this assignment you can actually use a recording of your own voice if you want, or you can try this with your export from assignment 1 if you're still waiting for a microphone to arrive. I don't want you recording into your laptop. That never sounds good. But definitely some sort of mic. I think I recommended the Fifine little lapel mic that you can get on Amazon for like 20 bucks. Details in the syllabus. And this recording here was done on one of the Zoom mics that we have up in ATC. This is the assignment 1 mic here. Let's see. Or voiceover. Let's listen. Microphone check. 1 2 1 2. Wow, notice how it's so much more robust than my voice is right now. So I'm actually going to use a cool tool, and I'm just going to select that whole track and go up to Analyze, and I'm going to plot the EQ spectrum here. So if you go in here, you need to make sure this is set to logarithmic frequencies, and then I usually turn the size up to about 2000 here to get a little more accurate representation of the EQ spectrum. And this is what you see a lot of times for a fairly balanced signal. There's usually a slope down to the right as you get into higher frequencies here. Looks like there's kind of a weird peak right around 5,000 Hertz. If you look down here, this number, the cursor number, will actually tell you exactly what you're hovering around. So I know that this is actually my sibilant frequency. So when I say my S's, this is something that you might want to try carving out of my voice if you use mine. You can use this plot spectrum to check out the sibilants on your own voice. Everyone's is at a little bit different level. And then notice how It looks like there's a low-end resonance right around 100 hertz here, and then maybe another one around 200. Well, let's do that. I'm going to mute that. Let's do that same little trick on the track that we're fixing up here, and we're going to go to Analyze, Plot Spectrum, make sure it's on logarithmic, and notice how it's kind of lacking that peak down here around 100 hertz, and then there's a weird sort of gap right at 3000 hertz. So I might bump just 3000 a little bit, not too much, maybe less than 6 decibels here. Here's your decibel meter here. It's only a gap of about 6 dB. So is this low end one here. And there's really just a lot of empty space here. I'm going to try to fill that in with a little bit of EQ. So double click, go to Effect, Equalization. Here's some moves I was doing earlier. You can always hit Flatten and then start from scratch. So I definitely want like a 6 dB boost around 100 hertz. And you know what? I'm just going to fill in a bunch of stuff down below here, just to give it some warmth and body, because there's just nothing there. I'll smooth it out a little bit. And then what did I say? There's a weird peak at 5,000, so I'll take that out. That's my sibilance. And then there's 2.5. Here we go, 3.15. I need to boost this just a couple decibels. Notice that you don't want to pump this up too high. This is like 12 dB. You're adding way too much gain there. So I'm going to do, I don't know, 3 dB here and process it. Give it a little silence there, so when I do my noise removal, I have a little piece to. Okay, and then it's pretty quiet. I guess you can always turn it up, or you can go to your normalize function and let's give it a listen. Give it a little silence there, so when I do my noise removal, I have a little piece to. So this mic is a really noisy mic. You can hear, even with the noise removal, there's definitely some hiss in the background. Also, make sure you're not next to a wall. I can actually hear some of the room reflections on this recording because I'm sitting right next to a table, and I think I'm getting some reflections off the table. But usually recording in a room with carpet is a good idea, and some nice soft furniture. Kitchens tend to be terrible. Bathrooms are terrible. The closet is actually the best room to record something. It's kind of weird to go take your laptop and sit in the closet, but the results have been tried and true. So anyway, let's go back and listen to these two next to each other. So go back to my original Summit 1 voiceover here. Microphone check, 1, 2. And we'll mute that and go back to this one. Give it a little silence there, so when I do my noise so you can hear it still doesn't have that low end, and that's one thing that you're just never really going to be able to build back in there realistically using an EQ. It's best to get the best mic you can, and you can go up to ATC and check those out. You need to check in with Letitia in the liberal arts office, and I have details up in the Canvas shell about that too. Oh, and here's one more little trick you might want to try here. A little pitch shift just for fun. So you can go into Effect, change pitch, and usually in terms of semitones, these are from one key to another key on a piano is one semitone, or one fret to another fret on a guitar. Usually you can go up or down about 3 semitones. So if you hit a negative sign, I'm going to go down 3 and process this. Let's give it a listen.
Give it a little silence there, so when I do my noise removal, I have a little piece to do the profile. But I'm going to take this and make it sound hopefully much better.
All right, so hopefully that sounds better than my initial read. But this is just a practice assignment. It's a sandbox. Get in there and mess around and see if you can make things sound good. You really just need to upload your Audacity file, your data file that corresponds with it, and then an export of, I don't know, give me something. I should be able to read just about anything, so WAV file would be nice, but if you want to get fancy, try something else too. All right, have fun.